Hello, Mike here from GameFromScratch, and today we're going to take a look at fantasy console development. Now, what the heck is a fantasy console? Well, basically, it is a pretend console. It's an emulated console that never existed. Pretty much the idea is to go back to basics, to go back to, well, frankly, where game development was when I first started in game development. Yeah, I'm old. So basically, the whole idea is to really kind of give you a constrained hardware environment, even if it's virtualized, which is exactly what it is, and, keep it simple. Really, this is the ultimate expression of keep it simple, stupid, and that's exactly what we're going to look at today. So without further rambling on, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the options out there. Now, first and foremost, probably the daddy behind all of this is Pico 8, and we're going to look at Pico 8 in a few minutes. This is emulating a 128 by 128 16 color screen. You can see the results on the right hand side in that animated image. You get 32K for your code. Basically, you're running a Lua interpreter. Pico 8 itself is powered by SDL2 and Lua 5.2, I believe it is. And you can basically create up to 128 8x8 sprites, 128 by 32 cells for your background, and you can control it using D-pad with a 2-button controller. So we're talking a very simple, stripped-down environment. Now, why would you want to do this? It's a good, fun hobby thing. It's a good way to keep things really simple. It's actually not a bad way to learn. All of your tools are actually bundled in here. So not only do you have your runtime, but you've also got a code editor, a map editor, you name it, and this very simple Lua-based programming language. So it actually feels a whole lot like BASIC did back in the 8-bit programming days. Now, Pico's about 15 bucks to buy it, and there are alternatives to Pico 8. There's TIC80, which I'm actually not even sure what the cost is at. The whole idea behind TIC, or Tiny Computer, is that it's sort of like Pico 8, but you're not quite as constrained on the hardware level. There's this fantasy computer that it's providing is a little bit more powerful. 240 by 136 pixels, 16 color palette, 256 8x8 sprites, 4-channel sound, etc. I believe this guy is also Lua powered. I'm not sure the pricing behind it. Now, another option we've got going on is Lyco, one of those two, Lyco or Lyco 12. Again, this is a Lua-powered virtual machine. This one is, as you can see from GitHub, completely open source and thus free. It's not quite as functionally complete. It doesn't quite have the same number of tools. There's no map editor or music editor at this point in time, but it is open source. This one's actually built over top of Love, the Lua 2D programming library. I've actually done a complete tutorial series on programming in Lua with Love. If you're interested in learning more, I'll link that one at the end. But Lyco is an open source option, definitely still under development, so expect some more warts, and again, not all the functionality is out there. And then finally, probably the most interesting of the options out there, and this one again is commercial, currently $974 US on sale, and very actively under development, and this is Pixelvision 8. Now, the whole idea behind Pixelvision is the same concept. It's a Lua-powered virtual console, but this one is actually trying to emulate existing hardware. So it's emulating the old Famicom, which is the NES, to those of us in the West, the Sega Master System, the Game Boy, Game Gear, or you can set it up to be whatever you want in terms of your hardware. And again, this one provides all of the tools, the functionality, etc. From what I've seen, I've only ever seen it in action. I haven't actually used it myself, but this one is probably the most polished of the options out there. But now let's actually take a deep dive into actually using one of them, and that is Pico 8. And I'm using Pico 8 because I happen to have Pico 8. Now, you can run this guy full screen like so, and it feels a whole lot like you're back in the world of MS-DOS, or even more so, a Commodore 64 type environment. You type help, and you can see the the commands that are available to you firsthand. We're going to go into the demos folder here, and we're going to go ahead and run one of these codes. So we're going to load API like so and run it. So here is a project running, you can see it actually going, and go ahead and press escape so it stops doing that. Now if I go ahead and press escape again, we're going to jump into the editor behind the scenes. So here, this is actually the code that is running, and I can go ahead and change this code and immediately see the results. So that's kind of where it comes in. You go in and you can play with very, very simple projects. Again, this is not for everybody. I understand that right away. But if you're kind of, jonesing for that retro feel, in a simpler world, back when a single developer could create a simple game, this is that world. Now, we're in the code editor now. Using our mouse, we can go between the different editors. So here's the code editor. Over here is a sprite editor, so the various different sprites that go together to create our game are available here. Now, we can also go ahead and actually import from our existing file system. That's beyond what I'm going to talk about today. So we have a fat bit grid pixel editor, so you can go ahead and change the pixels like so. Very simple. There's your 16 colors. I don't believe you can even change them. It might be as a setting, but really you are working with some very tight restraints here. You've got 8 by 8 pixel sprites to draw. You've got 16 colors to work with, and that's about it. Now you can do frames of animation. Don't know if this guy's actually animated, but okay. So you've got simple tools for handling. So stamp from the clipboard. You do select, pan, and color fill. So if we wanted to do a background fill, like so. So your tools are very, very simple for dealing with sprites. Come on over here, and now we have a tiled map editor. So I can use the sprites that we just did. Oh, I'm still in fill mode. But as you can see, you can quickly create your level like so. Over here we have a sound editor. We can create sound effects by basically manipulating the waveform. You got the various different operations you can perform on said waveform, and we can go into the line mode. This is not my strength area. The sound manipulation stuff, I barely played with at all, so I'm not going to go into too much more detail, but basically you can create sound effects with straight raw waveform manipulation. You see here over the various different notes over time. And then finally we can do the same thing. Here's the music editor. So I don't know what the difference between these two is exactly, but this is, you can create music over time using different patterns. Again, retro style music creation is not my forte, so I am not going to get into too many details on this one. But this is basically how it works. You do your development here, you press escape again, you're back in the running result. So I can take run, and we're back again. And there you go, escape twice, and you're back in the code editor. Kind of basically it. So you're dealing with these virtual stripped down retro consoles in a very stripped down development environment, but the cool thing is the development environment pretty much has all of the pieces you need. There is the map editor, there is a sprite editor, there is a code editor, there is a music editor, and a sound effect editor, and really that's all you need. And you can take your results, you can share them out. There's entire communities around sharing these things. So once again, quick recap. Let me exit, quit, help, Control Q. Oh yeah, Control Q or Alt F4. I'll just get rid of it this way. So anyways, very simple environment. I'm no master on any of them, and to be honest, I don't use any of them for one particular reason. So if you happen to be one of the person behind these developments, I love the idea of working with a stripped down hardware. I really do, but I hate coding using these old retro 8-bit fonts. I really wish there was an option to switch the code editor to more modern experience. It's that whole, some parts of Progress are definitely nice, and I would love to just code using a straight up text editor. Now, it might be possible with some of these particular editors, and at least Pixelvision 8 has slightly higher fidelity there, but they all still use these retro 8-bit fonts. And it gives you the vibe, but for actually working with these things, it's just irritating to actually code with them. So it'd be nice to actually be able to use a modern code editor. Now, again, that might be a possibility with some of these products. I am not entirely certain, but with the built-in, here's how you work all in one environment kind of editing experience, I just find it too frustrating, so I don't go down that road. But again, if you are a retro enthusiast, you want to, what it works like, what it's like to work in a constrained environment, I do definitely recommend you check out one of these. So again, Pico 8 is about 15 bucks. Pixelvision 8 is currently on sale for just under 10. Lico or Leco or whatever that is called, Lyco 12 is completely free, so probably the place to start there. And then TIC 80 is actually, I'm not sure. I never signed in, so I don't know what this one particularly costs, if anything at all. But, you know, there are free options out there if this is kind of your jam. If it's not, I hope you found that interesting anyways, and that's really all we're going to cover for now. So I hope you did like that. If you did, please do, of course, click that like button. And we cover all kinds of game development related stuff, as you can see, even including very retro stuff. So if this is of interest to you, game development stuff in general, please do click that subscribe button. And I'd love to know, like, do you work with any of these? Are you interested in retro computing? Is there an alternative that I missed out? If so, please do let me know in the comments down below. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you all later. Goodbye.